me just throw everything up in the air and see if I can catch it all. Nice! Do you think that I am Bill Gates? Do you think that I am Jeff Bezos? I'm not. I'm Giovanna. I'm me. I make YouTube videos. I don't have any money. Like, hello! Welcome back to my channel. Thank you so much for being here. That was super sweet of you. What do we think about today's eye look? The plan was to go for like little clouds. Obviously not regular clouds. They're neon colored clouds. I feel like they're a little bit SpongeBob-esque, which I am very into, like the SpongeBob clouds. I just think those are so fun, but that's not what today's video is about, and that's not why you clicked on this video. You clicked on this video because you must have some sort of interest in base products, foundations, concealers, powders, sprays, all of that good stuff, everything you need to get the base. I'm so sorry, that was so cringy. Oh no, why did I do that? Today is part 4 in my decluttering series. I do have 3 other videos in this decluttering series so far. I decluttered my lipstick collection, my eyeshadow collection, and my blushes, bronzers, and highlights. And today should be the last part. Yes, there is a strong possibility that we're actually gonna see my makeup desk looking clean today, but I think after this series is over, I'm just gonna keep going on this decluttering roll and do my skincare next, because that's a whole other thing that needs to be decluttered. There's a whole lot of masks that I don't ever wear. So if you want to see me declutter my foundations, concealers, setting powders, and all that fun base product stuff, then I encourage you to please subscribe and keep on watching. It's coming at you right now. Alright, so if this is your first one of my decluttering videos that you're ever watching, brace yourself, because this desk does not look good. Dirty makeup desk coming at you in 3, 2, 1. I promise by the end of this video, this is gonna look great, because the base products are really like the last thing that I have to get rid of, and they also take up the most space. I feel like foundations, primers, concealers, all that junk is like the biggest, like physically, products. That's not true. Eyeshadow palettes are definitely bigger. This is gonna be a very satisfying before and after, mark my words, I promise you. But for now, let's get into me taking everything off my desk, so cue the montage. Alright, so here's what we're working with here. I have all of my foundations here, all of my primers, including eye primers, and my setting powders, and my concealers. So as you can see, this is probably my smallest category of my makeup collection. I say smallest, but there's still a ton of junk down here, but my smallest individual categories. But as per usual, I have a lot to say about everything, so let's get into decluttering. We're gonna start with foundation. Alright, so the first 2 foundations I want to talk about together because they are actually from the same brand and of the same line. These are the Revlon Candid foundations. Initially, they just came out with the regular Candid foundation. It's supposed to be anti-pollution, natural finish. This came out over a year ago at this point. I think I reviewed this on my channel in like January 2019. Like, that's a real month and a real year. Wild. But then at some point in like the last 6 months maybe, they came out with the Candid Glow version, which I was thrilled to hear because I did initially really like their regular formula. I thought it was a nice natural finish, but I am more of a glowy type of a gal, so I had to get the glowy version, and my final verdict is that the glowy version is 1,000 times better. This is yet another classic case of me settling on makeup products. When I first tried the natural finish Candid foundation, I was like, this is wonderful. This is fantastic. The best foundation I've ever used. And do you know why I said that? I said that because I picked a good color and it matched my skin perfectly. That was really what I was basing my whole review off of. It's because normally I am not good at picking foundation shades. I always pick the wrong undertones, and this was like a really good color match for me. So I feel like I gave it a lot of credit for that alone, which is ridiculous because there's so much more that goes into a foundation than that. But this actually oxidizes, so it goes on the right shade for me, shade 150, Creme Brulee. Love that it's called Creme Brulee. I am French, so very fitting. But it does oxidize, and that's what sucks because it is a really nice finish. It's a pretty good coverage too. This is definitely a medium coverage foundation, but it oxidizes throughout the day. It's also really smelly. It smells like straight up baby powder, and I hate fragrance in my foundation. Like, I really just prefer to skip it. This one, however, the Candid Glow, my good personal friend Candid Glow foundation, does not have any fragrance. fragrance in it whatsoever, which is awesome because it's also good for sensitive skin. It does not oxidize at all. It's less coverage for sure. This is medium coverage, this is light, but it has a very serum-y finish, which I love so much. You put the word serum finish in anything and I'm like, sign me up. The only thing is I am trying to move to fully cruelty-free makeup, so I'm trying to find a dupe for this because I love the Revlon Candid Glow foundation, but as you know, Revlon is not cruelty-free. So if anyone has any recommendations for a really serum-y like foundation that's not too expensive and works kind of like this, then I would love to hear it. Definitely let me know down below. I am going to be keeping this because I don't want to be wasteful, but I am going to be throwing this away because it's smelly and I don't like it. All right, moving on to another foundation that's in pink packaging but is cruelty free. It's the NYX Bear With Me Tinted Skin Veil. I love this foundation. This foundation is so great. It's another one that doesn't have any fragrance in it, at least no detectable fragrance in it. It's very much a tinted moisturizer. Like, I would say that's the best way to describe this texture, and it's also why I wouldn't say that these are dupes for each other, because this one's definitely more serum-y and this one's definitely more like a moisturizer like consistency. This one is super hydrating, so I love wearing this in the winter time. It definitely like keeps my skin hydrated throughout the day. I'm dry all the time. I have dry skin 24/7, 365 days a year, but in the winter time, it's a constant battle with my skin. So I need foundations that are like gonna pack a punch when it comes to the moisture, and this definitely does that. I don't wear it a ton in the summertime because it doesn't fully set down, whereas my Revlon Candid Glow does fully set down, and I don't like to set my entire face with powder because, as I said, dry skin. If I were to set it with powder, my skin would flake off and crumble to the ground. I would disappear altogether. I would become a tumbleweed. I would roll off into the distance. You would never see me again. So yeah, I really love this foundation. It's like my go-to cold weather month foundation. Has pretty good coverage too. I would say it has a little more coverage than the Revlon Candid Glow. The Revlon Candid Glow is like a light, whereas this is like a light medium buildable. You probably can't get it to full coverage, but you could build it up to medium coverage, and for that, I'm a big fan. Wow, I'm catching everything today. Let me just throw everything up in the air and see if I can catch it all. Nice! So I'm definitely going to be keeping my NYX Bear With Me Tinted Skin Veil. Alright, moving on to the last foundation I have to talk about, and incidentally, my most recently purchased foundation. It's the Milk Flex Foundation Stick. It's awesome. I love it so much. I have a full video trying this foundation, well, trying a bunch of stuff from Milk, so I will link that somewhere on the screen for you if you want to really hear my thoughts, really hear me get into it. But I love this. It does have a smell, but the smell is very herby. I don't love smells in foundation, but if you're gonna smell like anything, smell like herbs, because I like the way herbs smell. It's like kind of lavendery. I'm pretty sure this has lavender oil in it. I'm actually positive this has lavender oil in it because I thought it smelled like lavender oil, and then I looked it up and then I proved that I was right, and I have a really good sense of smell. It does have lavender oil in it, but I really love this foundation. I'm wearing it today. I would say it's a medium coverage. I'm not sure if you could build it up to full. I've never really tried to build it up to full, but it's definitely like a solid medium, like medium without having to try all that hard. It's super emollient, which I love because I have tried foundation sticks in the past and I felt like they drew attention to dry patches on my skin and cling to dry patches, whereas this does not at all. Feels really hydrating on, but it does set down. As I said, I don't set my entire face with foundation. That's just, it doesn't work for me. And this does not need to be fully set with powder. It doesn't stay tacky like the NYX one does. It is on the pricier side. I will say this is $36, but a lot of people have discount codes with Milk. I used Nazare Looks discount code, which I believe got me 10% off, which was great. They do free shipping a lot, but I have been using this foundation nonstop since I got it a few weeks ago. I am a huge fan. If you haven't tried a stick foundation before, I think this is a great one to start with. And if you have dry skin like me, then I really think this is very dry skin friendly. I also have sensitive skin, and I found that the fragrance in this did not bother me because it's more like essential oils, which essential oils can still be sensitizing, so you do have to be careful with it. But because I wash it off at the end of the day, I haven't noticed a reaction to it at all. I really just have nothing but good things to say about this foundation stick, and I am 100% keeping it. Alright, moving on to my primer category. Spoiler alert, I'm getting rid of all of them! I think primers are a scam, at least the type of primers that I'm looking for, because what I'm looking for in a primer is something hydrating, and I find that hydrating primers just kind of operate the same way a moisturizer does. And why do you need a moisturizer and a moisturizing primer? You know, I could see if you're going for pore filling, then that might be more worth it in a primer, but those just aren't the type of primers that I look for because I want something that's gonna give a little life into my skin, and I don't think any of these really do that all that well. I mean, this e.l.f. hydrating primer I did like for a little while because this does do a little bit of pore filling too, definitely does a little bit of blurring, but it smells awful. It smells like it's, wow, that was actually pretty jarring. That was a genuine reaction. I promise I'm not being dramatic. Yeah, this stinks. It smells like straight up Play-Doh, and it's always smelled like that. Like, it's not even like it's gone bad. It just kind of always smelled like that, which I think is kind of weird. It does feel heavier on the skin, which I'm not a huge fan of. I appreciate the pore blurring qualities, but it's not the most comfortable to wear. I don't want to feel my foundation on my face. I don't want to feel my base makeup at all, which is why I love this Milk foundation so much because it really doesn't feel like anything. But I found that when I use this primer, it does feel a little heavy. Also, e.l.f., I have a bone to pick with you because I watched a TikTok of somebody that showed me that if you take your e.l.f. primers and you open them up, you take off all the lid and everything, this is how much product you get. And not even this, it goes up here. There is a tiny little tube that ends right here that has product in it, and it's skinnier than the width of this. There is no product in here. There's nothing in here. They are straight up trying to fool you. I don't like that they're trying to make you feel like you got more primer than you did. And I know that e.l.f. is affordable. I know that these are only like $6, but I just think like, I don't wanna be lied to. I don't wanna be bamboozled. I don't wanna be led astray. And I don't love this primer anyways. So I'm gonna be throwing all of these pieces of this primer away. Okay, another primer that I'm not going to be keeping, I actually gave a last chance to today. I'm wearing it under my foundation today. I made it work, but it was difficult. It's the Yensa Color and Face Tone It Up Primer Essential Glow 8 Super Blacks Essence. Doesn't that sound like a Wish title? You know when you buy stuff on Wish, it's like 40 words in the title. I got this in an Ipsy bag a year ago, back when I still had an Ipsy bag. And it is a cool product because it is color correcting, which is so cool. It's not clear or anything. It kind of looks like my foundation shade, which the only thing that would worry me is I don't know if this would work on every skin tone. I guess it's a primer, so I don't know how much it matters, but it definitely has a correcting element to it. Like you can see, like it definitely took away the warmth from my hand, so I feel like it covers up redness well. But I found that when I paired this with my Milk foundation, I had a ton of pilling. I think this could be nice on the skin on its own. Like if you were somebody who doesn't like to wear foundation, but you do like a little bit of color correcting, I think it could be good for that because it definitely did what it says it does. It definitely color corrects, but for me, I do wear foundation on top of a primer, so I didn't like how it fit with my favorite foundation. If a primer doesn't work with your favorite foundation, you're never gonna use it because what are you gonna not use your favorite foundation? It just doesn't make sense to me. Also, as I said, I got this in an Ipsy bag, but the regular price of this is $38. $38 for any makeup product that is not going to last more than a couple of months makes no sense to me. Do you think that I am Bill Gates? Do you think that I am Jeff Bezos? I'm not. I'm Giovanna. I'm me. I make YouTube videos. I don't have any money. Like, I cannot afford a $38 primer, so I'm probably gonna throw this away. It's getting towards the bottom anyways. It doesn't work with my favorite foundation. I'm mad that it's $38. I have so many gripes with you. I like the pink packaging, but I'm gonna be getting rid of this Yensa primer. Okay, one more face primer, and this is kind of silly. It's like a sample size. It was a deluxe sample size, but it's from First Aid Beauty. It's their Coconut Skin Smoothie Priming Moisturizer. It has actual pearly bits in it, pearlescent bits. What would you call those? I think it's mica. So if you put this on your face, you will like actually have little bits of highlight on it, which is why I was like, ooh, love that. Love to glow from within. And I think it definitely gives you a glow from within. I just have found that I think I have a sensitivity to coconut in skincare because I broke out after using this. And at first I didn't realize it was this. I thought it was other parts of my skincare routine. So I pulled out like whatever moisturizer I was using at the time, and I continued to use this and I continued to break out. I just do not think I can put coconut on my skin, but it is a beautiful texture. It feels just like a water cream type of moisturizer. It's super comfortable and it does give such a beautiful glow. I'm so upset that this doesn't work for me. If you don't have sensitive skin and you're looking for a nice like glowy primer, I think this could be good for you. But for me and my sensitive skin, I have to part ways with this. All right, moving on to my one eyeshadow primer that I used to swear by. You couldn't have a conversation with me me without me bringing up this Wet n Wild eyeshadow primer. I wanted to tell everybody I knew that wore makeup about this eyeshadow primer because it works, in my opinion, just as well as the Urban Decay Primer Potion and the MAC Eye Primer, which are two primers that I have never purchased, but I have used from friends' collections before, and I find that this works the same way. This will make your eyeshadow last all day long. It really does set down the base, but the reason that I'm getting rid of this is because once you put this down, you cannot make any mistakes. You cannot fix a mistake after you put this down unless you want to fully wipe your eye clean and start again, which I do not, because over the last couple months I've been getting more creative with my makeup. I've been getting more into graphic liner. I've been doing funky shapes, and guess what? I don't always get these shapes right the first time, and if I were to do this graphic liner over this eye primer, I would have to completely start over. Whereas now I've realized that I can just use a skin toned eyeshadow to set my eye, and that lasts like pretty well compared to this. It doesn't last quite as good as this. You will get a little bit of creasing, but I find that with these by Melolops radioactive water inks, they last well on their own. They don't need a primer. They can be bad all by themselves. It's not you, it's me. You do exactly what you say you're gonna do, and for somebody who is like a professional at makeup and knows that they're not gonna make any mistakes, and if you're just doing a simple look, maybe you don't use a lot of graphic liner like I do, it might be good for you, but for me, I make a lot of mistakes, I try a lot of funky things, and I need to be able to wipe away if necessary. So I'm gonna be getting rid of this eye primer. And that's it for my primer category. All right, let's move on to some setting powders. I wish I could stop doing this, but I can't. Ugh. All right, the first setting powder I wanna talk about is from Revlon. It's also from their Candid line. And it's their Photo Ready Candid Powder. It's in the shade 001. And I like this because it's very interesting. It's like a very peachy powder, which is like, what? I always thought powders had to just be like translucent or be a skin color, but this one is like a very peachy, and I'm sure it's hard to see, but it does look the same color as this lid, if that's helpful for you. And I feel like it has sort of a correcting element to it. Peach is supposed to be a good color corrector for blue, so if you have any blue like on your under eyes, I feel like this could be good for that. The real reason I like this powder so much though is because it is so finely milled. It really just disappears once you spray it down. And I have found with a lot of other powders, even after I spray them down throughout the day, I see little bits of the powder like collecting in the crease under my eyes, which, you know, is understandable. There's creases under your eyes, that's gonna happen, but this wears better than any of my other powders I'm gonna show you today. This is absolutely my favorite for long wearing powder. My only gripe with this is that I wish it was a little more brightening. Also, as I mentioned in the beginning, I'm trying to move away from all non-cruelty free makeup. So if anyone has a dupe for the Revlon Candid powder, I would love to hear it because I love how finely milled this powder is, and I want to find something like it that's also maybe a little bit more brightening, but for now, this is my favorite setting powder, and I'm gonna use it till it's gone. All right, let's talk about another loose setting powder. This one is from Latte. It is their Extraordinary Setting Powder. I think the retail price of this is like $22, which I think is asking a lot for anything generally, but especially asking a lot for this, because I think it's very okay. It's not as good as my Revlon one, and I feel like there's nothing to say other than that, because the Revlon one is so finely milled, like I said, it's undetectable. Like, it disappears after you spray it down. Whereas this one is pretty finely milled, like it's definitely fine, but it's just not as good. You know how once you get one product that's good and then you get another product in the same category that's not as good? Like, what purpose do you have for it at that point? If a product is no longer serving you, what do we do with it? Throw it in the trash! Oh, that was horrifying. I'm sorry, everybody. I just threw it on my bed and hit my laptop. It's fine. We're getting rid of it. The last powder I have to talk to you about here today is the CoverGirl Clean Matte Powder, and clearly, she's well loved. If you had talked to me 3 days ago, I would have told you that this was one of my favorite powders ever, but since you're talking to me today, I will tell you that I don't like it anymore and I'm getting rid of it. And I don't know if this is just because I've been inside a lot more lately, but I feel like I have never been more pale in my life, which is fine. You know, I'm not somebody that tries to tan regularly, but I think just like I'm normally out and about more, so I get a little bit more of a tan. But I went to use this the other day and I realized that it's not lighter than my skin tone, which is horrifying because you see how light this is. So I went to go set my forehead and I saw that it left like a distinct spot because it was clearly darker than my skin tone, which is just confusing because it doesn't look like it would be. Don't they look like they're about the same shade? But I think I need a powder that's a little lighter than my skin tone, so this powder no longer served me. This one also gets super creasy. I don't know why I like vouched for this for so long. I think it's another one of those examples of just not knowing there was anything better out there. Also, this is so much easier to reach for than my loose setting powder. Once you get loose setting powder, you gotta get a powder puff, or you gotta get a special sponge or brush or something out, where this is just like here, ready to go. It has a mirror built in. It's a lot more convenient for me than my loose setting powder, but it is not as good as my loose setting powder, and it does not brighten anymore because apparently I'm getting more and more pale by the day. I don't think I'm gonna repurchase this in another shade either though, because I just don't think the formula is as good as I thought it was. So what am I keeping it for? Nothing at all. I'm getting rid of it. Oh my gosh, we're already on the last category. Can you even believe it? It's going by so quick. I'm sure it's been like 20 minutes in your time. I'm sorry these videos get so long, but I just have so much to say. Okay, we're talking about concealers. First one I want to talk about is from Glossier. It is their Stretch Concealer. I have the shade Light because this is so old that it's before they switched over to different shades, before they expanded their shade range. So I haven't been reaching for this for a while, but that's because I started looking for dupes for this because I knew I wasn't gonna buy it again because it's $22, and that's just not realistic for me to keep up in my life for a concealer, which is something you have to purchase like kind of often. So I ended up finding this NYX Conceal Correct Contour Palette, and I have to say this is like the closest dupe that I have found to the Glossier Stretch Concealer. It's not quite as oily as this, and I do mean oily because the Glossier Stretch Concealer is oily. So if you have anything less than severely dry skin like I do, you will probably hate this. I have found that all the reviews I've watched of people reviewing Glossier products are like, the Stretch Concealer sucks, it's greasy, it's oily, I hate it. And my dry skin self is like, oh, no, it's perfect. I love it. It's beautiful. But the reason I'm not going to be buying it again is because it's $22. And why would I buy this if I found the NYX palette, which is, this was $14, I think, on Amazon. It's probably cheaper on their website, but it also comes with a bunch of other shades. I love a concealer palette. Why did it take me so long to get into concealer palettes? Because they're fantastic. You can customize your own shade. They come in 3 different palette shades. So I have the light, but they also have a medium and dark. I think they could definitely expand that, but I will say in each palette there's like a wide array of shades. So you have like the lightest, and then you have a slightly darker one, and then you have a deep shade, which I use for contour. I'm actually wearing it as contour today. And then there's kind of like a goldeny shade, a peachy shade, and a yellow shade. So you can color correct, you can mix together those colors to create your perfect shade, which I think is amazing. Clearly the shade is very well loved. I would say it's very comparable to the Glossier Stretch Concealer. The only difference is I would say this one's higher coverage, so I don't think that's a bad thing at all. And it's much less greasy, but it's just as emollient, because I think that's why I really like this, because a lot of times you go to like blend out a concealer and it's like, sorry, I already dried down, I'm already super matte, your under eyes already look horrible. Whereas these two did not do that for me. This one I think is only suited for people with severely dry skin, whereas I feel like this one could be suited for all skin types because it's really not all that oily, and you can set this down with powder and it's like good to go. It sets down really nicely. This one's kind of hard to set down with powder because it's so oily that even if you put powder on it, it's still like oils, 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 which is fine for a dry skin gal like me. But I understand that not everybody has dry skin like me, so I think this one's a lot more user friendly, and it's a lot more fun, and it's a lot more affordable. All right, moving on to a concealer that sucks, and I don't know why I keep saving it. I'll tell you why I keep saving it. It's because if I ever want to do a cut crease, which I never want to do a cut crease, but if I ever want to do a cut crease, it's the only concealer that's suitable for that. It's the e.l.f. Camo 16-Hour Wear Concealer. Why does it suck? Because it's the world's driest material that's ever been created. It's so dry, it will suck the life out of wherever you put it. Like, it's so dry. I'm gonna put a little bit on my hand. Also, the packaging sucks. You open it and it like squirts everywhere. It's so drying. Like, I can't even imagine people with oily skin using this, because I watched a video of Jackie Aina using this, and she does have oily skin, and even she said it was like too much. Like, there's no work time whatsoever. Like, this is already really dry. It's like spackle. It's so high coverage, which is great. Like, I don't mind a high coverage concealer, because I would rather my concealer be high coverage and my foundation be light, and that way I can go and like customize my coverage on my face. But this is too much because it's too drying, and there is no way to make it less drying, because sometimes you can add a little bit of a hydrating product to something dry to like make it work for you. But this concealer does not mix well with other concealers. It didn't mix well with my NYX one. I tried to add setting spray to this, and it literally just like broke apart. All of the little like water bubbles just like gathered in little spots on it, and they were like, oh no, we're not doing this. We are not mixing together well. It does not play well with others. You have to work at like lightning speed. I even tried doing one eye at a time with this, and I could not work fast enough. And I am very fast, but I could not work fast enough to blend this out before it dried down. I've heard people say they like the hydrating one better, so I am gonna try the hydrating one in the future. I'm not gonna keep saving this because I'm not doing a cut crease. I can figure out another way to do a cut crease. I don't think I need you in my life anymore. All right, and the last concealer kinda that I'm gonna be talking about is from First Aid Beauty. It's their Eye Duty Triple Remedy, and my mom gave this to me because she accidentally got two. So this is supposed to, oh no, oh god, no. Well, I was gonna tell you that I wasn't gonna keep this because although I like the cooling tool, the color, the formula is just kind of weird, and it got so gross. Maybe there's a shelf life on this. I think I've had this for close to a year now, but it's supposed to be a color correcting thing, but it's expensive on its own. I think for somebody like my mom who doesn't wear under eye concealer, she liked it because it just like does a little bit of correcting, and it's so sheer that like you're not really gonna see it. It's very peachy, but like you blend it out even a little bit and it's gone. It's disappeared. So I think it's good for a little bit of color correcting, and if you're like a very minimal makeup person, it could be cool for you. But it also, I think, only comes in this one shade, which is fair medium. I might be wrong. I will fact check myself and put it on the screen. But I mean, clearly the shade range is not great for that. It's expensive. I have a color corrector in my NYX palette, and I actually used that today, and I felt like it worked really well. I like the texture of this better because I don't want to put something really watery under my eyes and then go over it with something thicker, because they won't mix well together. I never really reached for this. I'm probably gonna keep it just for the cooling tool because I think it's so nice, and you can put this in the fridge and just like give your eyes a real nice cooling treatment. It's nice for that reason, but you can buy a cooling tool separately. You can also just put a spoon in the freezer, and that can be the same type of deal. So you definitely don't need this product from First Aid Beauty, and I'm going to be not getting rid of it because I'm saving the tool, but not using it under my eyes ever again. I also think it's expired. Oh, that was so gross. Okay. All right, so here are all the base products that I'm going to be keeping, and here are the ones that I'm getting rid of. Wow, I think this is the first category that I have gotten rid of more than I have kept. I'm getting rid of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 products, and only keeping 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Somebody do the math on that, but I have to say those are really good odds. And as promised, I am going to be giving you a sweet little montage right here of me cleaning off the rest of my desk, throwing away everything that is just trash, putting things together, wiping it down a little bit for you, and giving you a very satisfying before and after shot. I haven't done it yet. Does it look good? Tell me in the past about what's happening in the future, because that's something that we can do. All right, had to do it to him. I had to finally give you guys the satisfying after shot of my beautiful and clean makeup desk. This looks great. Oh my god, it's so shiny. I can like see myself in it. Did you guys see how dirty that was? That was a little embarrassing for me, but I'm not cutting it out because this is raw footage of my real life and how I really am, which is the world's messiest Virgo. But the world's messiest Virgo is getting all cleaned up. Virgo season is approaching. I am finally getting all cleaned up, and I hope that this was satisfying for you to watch. So thank you so much for watching. If you guys liked this video, can you please give it a thumbs up? That would be really sweet. And subscribe to my channel. If you made it till the end of the video, then you clearly liked me enough to get to the end of the video, so you might as well subscribe, because as I mentioned in the beginning, I am really trying to stay on a roll with this whole decluttering and like getting organized things. So I think that I'm going to declutter my skincare collection next. If you haven't seen any of the first 3 parts of my makeup decluttering series, then I suggest that you check out the description box, because I will have them linked down there. So I thank you guys so much for watching. Be sure to also check out the description box for a bunch of Black Lives Matter resources, including petitions to sign, places to donate, and ways to help protesters. So definitely make sure that you're staying informed about that, and check out the description box. And I thank you so much for watching, and we'll see you on my next video. Bye!